Welcome back. This is chapter 4 from the diary of Anne Frank, written by Anne Frank. And now I'm going to explain page number 51 to you. So here we go. Since no one would understand a word of my stories of Kitty if I were to plunge right in, I'd better provide a brief sketch of my life, much as I dislike doing so. So the author says here that if she plunges, if she jumps right in, if she starts her stories abruptly all of a sudden, then people will not able to understand her stories. People wouldn't be able to say understand the psychology or the thought behind doing a particular thing. So she should rather start by giving a brief account of her past, which she says she dislikes. She hates giving detail, or she dislikes speaking of her past or speaking of the past events. My father, the most adorable father I've ever seen, didn't marry my mother until he was 36 and she was 25. So here she says, she speaks of her family, and she says that her father had been the most adorable, most loving and caring father she had ever seen. And he didn't marry her mother before he was 36. That is when the parents married. Their parents married. At that time, father was 36 and mother was 25 years of age. My sister Margot was born in Frankfurt in Germany in 1926, and the couple had their first baby in the year 1926 when her sister Margot was born in Frankfurt in Germany. The couple or the family lived there in Germany, and there they had their first baby in 1926. She was named Margot. I was born on 12 June 1929, and the second child, was born in 1929, 3 years later, and she was born on 12 June 1929, and she was named Anne. So the author speaks here of the two sisters. First, her elder sister Margot, and then she speaks of herself and when they were born. I lived in Frankfurt until I was 4, and the family continued to live there in Frankfurt, Germany, until she was 4 years of age. That is, they lived there until 1933. My father immigrated to Holland in 1933, and from there father moved out of the country and settled there in Holland in 1933. My mother, Edith Hollander Frank, went with him to Holland in September, and the parents moved to Holland in the year 1933, and the month was September. While Margot and I were sent to Aachen to stay with our grandmother, and while the parents moved to Holland, the sisters, that is the daughters, were sent to Aachen to their grandmother. Margot went to Holland in December, and Margot, her sister, older sister, joined the parents in the month of December, same year, and I followed in February when I was lying down on the table as a birthday present for Margot, and then the author to join the family there in Holland in the next year, that is 1934, in the month of February, when she was casually put down, or say uh, she was presented there as a birthday gift to her sister Margot. Started right away at the Montessori nursery school, and there in Holland she went straight to the school. The same year she joined a Montessori nursery school. I stayed there until I was 6, and she continued to receive her education there in the same school until she was 6 years of age, at which time I started in the first form, and at that age she was in the first form, that is in first standard. In the sixth form, my teacher was Mrs. Cooper's, the headmistress, and when she was then she was shifted to some other school, and there she continued to study till she was in the sixth. She reached in the sixth standard, and in the sixth standard or sixth form, her teacher was Mrs. Cooper's. Mrs. Cooper's was a class teacher. She was also the headmistress of the school. At the end of the year, we were both in tears, and we said a heartbreaking farewell that year. At the end of the year, that is at the end of sixth, class sixth, they had to say get separated from each other. She had to move out of the school and had to take admissions to some other school. So at the end of the year, it was a painful separation for both the teacher and the student. Both of them broke down in tears. In the summer of 1941, Grandma fell ill and had to have an operation. That is, in the year 1941, during summers, her grandma fell ill and she had to be operated. So my birthday passed with little celebration, so they can have a big celebration of her birthday. Grandma died in January 1942. Grandmother couldn't survive long after the operation and died the very next year in 42, in the month of January, at the beginning of the year only. No one knows how often I think of her and still love her. No one knows how dearly she misses her, how dearly she missed her grandmother, and how she still loved her. This birthday celebration in 1942 was intended to make up for the other, and Grandma's candle was lit along with the rest, and this celebration of 42 went off, passed off with little celebration as well. 41 saw little celebration, 42 too saw very little celebration. And here they try to make up for the family members who were dead. And here Grandma's candle was lit along with the rest of the souls from the family who had left this world, left this earth. The four of us are still doing well, and that brings me to present date of 20th June 1942. And here she says that four of us, all the four members of the family, two parents and two sisters, are doing well. They are doing very well, and that brings her to the present date of 20th June 1942. And This brings her to this date, this current date, which was 20th June 1942. That is, she started making her entry on 20th June 1942 and on the solemn dedication of my diary, and that was the day when she introduced her diary. So started writing her diary, dedicated, that is, introduced her diary. So this is all for now. Thank you.